Hey you and welcome, my name is Mike, and in this whole video what we're gonna do is we're gonna visit those fine folk over in merry old England. I mean, most of them are. In this story maybe not so much. And merry old... it's one of those things for sure. It's Bristol we're going to in this old one city of. This takes us all the way to 2015, when in February, Becky Watts was in her house. Until she wasn't. Then the search was on, right? But as we see, you know, time and time again, the search wouldn't have to go far. Alright, give it a go? Yes, let's. Bristol is in the southwest of England. It's actually a place we visited. Is this visiting? Once before in the story of Joanna Yates. It's pretty famous for its harbour, or, well, I guess kind of was 300 years ago. And today it's a pretty safe place, to be fair. Though this is our second time visiting it, so... It was in the middle of February that it must have seemed like the entirety of Bristol, a city of 500,000, was looking. Friends, neighbours, flyers, hashtags, you name it, if in Bristol, you saw it. It began in a house in the Crown Hill area of Bristol, East Bristol, on Thursday the 19th of February, but would soon stretch across the great city and beyond. Becky Watts was 16 years old when... what happened happened.
What do I eat first?
I don't know, just have a nice big mouthful of
Why a big
well, that's a lot of rice.
right now? It's really hot anyway because of the microwave. I want a drink ready.
No, it's fine.
Dad, dude! I'm taking half of this. Don't red.
She was born on the 3rd of June 1998. She was a carefree, happy person. Her parents split up when she was 3 years old, and she went to live with her father, Darren, and his new partner, Angie. Becky was very close with her dad. Angie already had a son of her own, Nathan Matthews, who was 12 years older than Becky. Becky wasn't always happy though. Who is? When she was 13, she was teased about her weight, which led to her developing anorexia, and then dropping out of school for a while. However, things seemed to be looking up as she grew into her teenage years, and she was excited about the future. At that time, she was in a relationship with a fella named Luke Oberhansley. He was 1 year older and he was a trainee mechanic. He was also the last person Becky Watts texted. On the 18th of February, a Wednesday, Becky had gone to a little party at a local rugby club. It was like their midterm break. And then stayed that night at a friend's house, playing games and watching flicks. Then, on the 19th, she returned home and was yapping away with her stepmother Angie for a bit until Angie had to go for a hospital appointment. This was at 11:15 a.m. Then, when Angie returned, Becky was gone. Now it was odd from the start, right? Becky, who had struggled with bullying, with an eating disorder and social anxiety, so for her to just, you know, head off was her dad would say she's very shy and timid. She can't even go up to a till in a shop. She's so reserved. She couldn't ask for a bus ticket. She would rather walk than have to get on a bus and ask a driver for a ticket. It was the next day, you know, after no one had seen her, people were texting, calling to absolutely no avail, that Becky was reported missing, and the Avon and Somerset police took on the case.
Avon, Somerset police, how can I help? It appears my daughter's gone missing. No one has seen her, no? No.
Now her phone, laptop and tablet were missing from the home. but no clothing or money was gone, so that was odd. Didn't seem like things she would take. Calls went straight to voicemail. She was tight with her friends, and with no contact, that's a big old red flag right there. In fact, her parents really started to become worried when it was her friends who contacted them, asking where she was. It was very quickly apparent this was not missing of one's own volition, case. It was some scary shite, and the search was on.
So I just want to say to Becky, you're not in any trouble. We're all concerned about your well-being, and we just want to make sure that you're okay. If you can call home, or one of your friends, or phone us, the police, on 101, just confirm where you are, let us know you're okay. You can work through any issues that you might be facing. I would also ask anyone who might have any information about where Rebecca is to come forward and talk to us.
The Friday became a Monday, and then national media were covering the disappearance of Becky Watts. It was inexplicable what could have happened to her. This was everywhere. There was a Find Becky hashtag. Darren went on the radio to get the word out. Searches were organised across Bristol. The family home was searched. A pond in nearby St. George's Park. Well, someone had to get the snorkel out.
Bex, if you're watching this, please come home. We love you so much, and I really think you can sort anything out with that. Just come home.
And so the police began interviewing those closest to her family. So get this, right? At that time, the police learned something new. Remember how Angie said, she left shortly after 11 a.m? Becky was in the house, and then when she came back, no sign of her. Someone was telling fibs. Becky wasn't alone in the house when, she stopped being in the house.
Shauna heard the door go, so she was assuming it was Becky going out.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming it was Becky going out.
Okay. No one saw her go, but
No.
just heard the door go,
Yeah.
and the assumption that Becky had left the
Yeah.
house.
Her stepbrother, Nathan, and his partner, Shauna Hoare, there's the spelling, were also in the house at that time. Nathan, he had struggled with, jobs. He suffered from rheumatic condition, fibromyalgia, and he was in pain a lot. However, he did join the Territorial Army, a weekend warrior, so to speak. He had been in a relationship with Shauna from when he was in his early 20s, herself 14. Which is, not okay. Their relationship was, not quite healthy, but that's a whole nother kettle of fish we will get into. The pair lived together, and Shauna became a carer for Angie, who had multiple sclerosis. That's what her hospital appointment was for. They were the last people to see her, or actually, rather, hear her. Because they said, they didn't see her at all, they just heard, the door slam, and that was it, apparently. They assumed she had left.
I think we got there about 11ish. The door was locked, so obviously we used a key from underneath the recycling bin. Got in. Heard music upstairs. Assumed Becky had been in then. I went into the kitchen to get a cigarette. I went to go outside to have a cigarette. My daughter started whinging because she wanted to come out with me, so I took her down to the garden to help feed the rabbit while I had a cigarette. Probably was about 15-20 minutes. Then we came back up. I went into the kitchen to get a drink, I think I was, and wash my hands. Then I heard the front door slam. Carried on washing my hands, went into the living room. And then I think it wasn't until a lot later on that Angie asked me if Becky had gone out. And I said, yeah, I heard the door go. She must have gone out earlier. Really kind of like, oh, what was that? It was just the door, so Becky would have gone out.
Yeah.
Now Nathan and Shauna, raised some eyebrows because they were dodging interviews like left and right. What's going on here? It was literally like, it's your stepsister. What's going on here, lads? And this was brought up to Shauna in the second interview.
It's just a minor thing, really, but I think some of our colleagues were trying to speak to Nathan. Just part of those initial inquiries just a few days ago on Tuesday, I think it was. And they sort of perceived a bit of reluctance. Do you have any knowledge of that?
Not to my knowledge, and I wouldn't know, no.
No. Has Nathan had any sort of concerns about speaking to us?
Not that he's told me, no.
No.
If he does, I wouldn't know then.
Yeah. How is he finding it?
He's found it quite hard, actually. Again, he's kind of more thinking, my God, if it was...
Yeah.
Or again, knowing how hard it'd be for his mum at the moment. You know, because Becky was almost like a daughter to her.
Yeah.
Shauna honestly looked like she was having some crack during these interviews, by the way, having a great old time. During those interviews, Nathan would mention he wasn't Becky's biggest fan. He thought her self-centered, manipulative, and he didn't like the way she treated his mother, Angie, or her father, Darren. Now, Shauna and Nathan's stories were straight. They were too straight. They were like almost in cahoots. You can get the most reliable witnesses, and they won't match up as well as these two. It was weird, is what I'm trying to say. Almost rehearsed. But, at that stage, other than the police's, spidey sense being raised, wasn't really much to it, so they swiftly moved on. Swiftly moved on back to searching the place where it all began, where apparently Becky Watts slammed the door and stormed out, according to the two people who were acting suspicious. And it was at that time, searching the home, they found blood on the door frame to Becky's room. On the blood they found a fingerprint. And while the folk of Bristol kept looking, it had been over a week since Becky disappeared. The labs were working away doing what labs do. Lab work.
Friends, family, and the people that are really dearest to her, that I would expect her to have regular contact with, at least one of those people. We've had no contact with her, so we really are very concerned about her well-being.
And the fingerprint fingered Nathan. What would he be doing, with his paws on blood that led to Becky's room? Blood that was also revealed to be Becky's, which led to the police arresting Nathan and Shauna. At that point, they were arrested for kidnapping as they were still hoping Becky might be alive.
The reason I've come here is to make an arrest of yourself, okay? And what I'm going to do is explain everything here now, okay?
Just put your hands like that for me, alright?
Nathan and Shauna were once again interviewed by the police.
You were at the address at the time that Rebecca, or Becky, I think most people know
Becky,
her as, yeah? Becky.
Or Bex.
Yeah, okay. Do you know her as Becky or Bex?
Usually call her Bex.
Is she safe?
Well, I didn't know where she is, so I'm meant to know.
Is there anything that happened that could be significant in the disappearance of Rebecca? No. Are you absolutely sure? Yes. I know you've got something to tell us. I can see it in your face. I was just making sure there was nothing, like a weird, significant thing that I hadn't thought of. I don't know anything.
Now it was very apparent that Shauna was not prepared at all for this interview. She was lying like a rug, and it's extremely obvious, right? And the police picked up on that straight away and were in there like swimwear. Nathan, not really so much. It was at that point the police decided to search the home of Nathan and Shauna. It's a friggin' pigsty. It's hard to believe one couple could have that much shite. And during the search of the home, right, one thing stuck out to them. It stuck out to them how clean it was. It was like, whoa, in contrast to the rest of the fucking shithole. What gave them away? Being hygienic. It was the bath. Scrubbed. In the house, they also found receipts from a homeware store. It was dated the 20th of February, the day Becky was reported missing, and purchased was a circular saw, gloves, goggles, and a face mask. Tracking it down, it was, whoa, unbelievably, Nathan. He certainly wasn't doing any home remodeling. Nathan and Shauna were then both arrested on suspicion of murder. They admitted their guilt. Kinda.
This interview is being recorded at Patchway Police Station in Bristol. It is now Tuesday, the 3rd of March 2015, and it's exactly 12 midday.
He admitted, right? Well, see, it's not an admission if it's a lie. What he said was that he had planned on kidnapping Becky, right? But during the kidnapping, he accidentally strangled her. He wanted to kidnap her to teach her a lesson. He didn't like the way she treated her dad and her stepmother, his mother. So he's like, you know what? This is a teachable. He was doing her a favor, really. He said he was going to kidnap her to teach her a lesson because he didn't like the way she treated her parents, he said. And well, he fucked it up and strangled her. It was an accident.
How about if we start with this idea you had about scaring Becky?
I don't know if it was on TV or something like that, but obviously I had a couple of dreams. Prime was obviously once I got her in the car, I was thinking of like a wooded area or whatever, to obviously take her back out, to obviously still have the mask on, scare her and, you know, say something along the lines of, you know, you've got to start treating people better, you know, not being a bitch or self-centered, and then like make a threat of, you know, or this could happen again or worse or something like that. Obviously walk away after, without obviously, I don't know if she'd try and follow.
But ultimately, the body of Becky was finally discovered.
Avon and Somerset police have said that body parts have been found at a property in Bristol. Formal identification has not yet been completed, but Becky's parents say they are devastated by the news.
As a result of new information received late last night, we attended at a house at Barton Court in the Barton Hill area of Bristol. The information suggested that Becky's body had been cut up, and a search at the new location resulted in the discovery of body parts.
So, what happened? Well, Nathan, he's some bollocks. Shauna too, actually. They had some disturbing dark sexual shit going on. They were both obsessed with teenage girls. For months they would text each other, you know, their fantasies of kidnapping one and doing, well, you know.
So the first message is 9th of 12th, 2014, timed at 12:48, and it says to Shauna, and it says, "Fuck you, bring me back, 2 pretty schoolgirls then." D1, I think that says. Tell me about that text message.
No comment.
Next message is 9th of December 2014 at 18:14. It says from Shauna, "Just went to Cost Cutters and saw a very, in big caps, petite girl. Almost knocked her out to bring her home. LOL." And there's crosses and zeros. Shauna, what can you tell me about that?
No comment.
Am I right in thinking that this girl was similar to Becca's age?
No comment.
And eventually, their fantasies were not enough. They turned their eyes to Becky, intending to use her as, quote, a sexual plaything. I hate that I just said that. That day, when Angie last saw her as she went to her appointment, Nathan arrived at the house shortly afterwards with a kidnap kit, which included stun guns and handcuffs. He went to her bedroom, where he suffocated her and stabbed her 15 times. Her body was then moved to the boot of Nathan's car, and him and Shauna hung out in the house as the rest of the family came and went, until they took her body back to their house. The next day, in the bathroom, they dismembered her and packed the remains in plastic and salt and hid them in a garden shed, a neighbour's shed. Nathan and Shauna's relationship was messed up. Hard to believe. I know. Nathan was violent towards Shauna, choking her, dominated her. Though those closer to Nathan would say the same about her, that Nathan's mental health, which was on a bit of a knife's edge, deteriorated during his relationship with her. What kept them together was that bond, you know, that bond over Sick shit, I think, just about covers it.
Just so I'm clear, as far as the kidnap's concerned, you are not aware that Nathan was planning to do that on that day? Okay. How do I know that you weren't involved?
Again, I shouldn't have any DNA reason to be involved, and again, the fact that, as far as I knew, he was, changing, he wasn't as violent anymore. And, he was going to sort the house out, and we were talking about, I'm carrying his children. I didn't... To think that I would know. Sorry.
No. Take a moment, that's right. Because I suppose the thing is, from someone outside looking in, is that what he's saying is he's gone to the address with an intent to kidnap her.
Okay.
And it's been quite convenient that you're at the garden having a cigarette and he's doing what he's doing.
Yes.
Do you see what I mean?
Yes.
And someone might say, well, hold on a minute, she'd have to know.
Yeah.
There's no way he could do that, or take those items, take some stuff with him, and the intent to go there without you knowing. Do you know what I mean? I'm just trying to make,
Again, the car, I didn't see anything in the car. Again, like I was saying to my solicitor, I didn't look in the boot. I wouldn't look in the boot. It would be more unusual for me to look in the boot.
At any time, were you concerned about leaving him on his own in the house with Becky?
No.
What you've got to do is prove that you're not involved in this.
Yes.
So when I'm asking these questions, always bear that in mind, because that's what you need to do now.
Okay.
Okay. Because at this moment in time, we've still got this position where you are you are in the house. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, is there anything at all that's going to help you? You must tell us now. Anything at all.
Nathan denied Shauna had anything to do with it, and Shauna denied she had anything to do with it. She denied any knowledge of what happened. Yeah, okay. The trial began in October 2015. Nathan pled guilty to manslaughter, not murder, continuing his line of, it was just a plot to scare her, not harm her, and it just happened. Shauna denied everything, said she had nothing to do with it, even when her DNA was found on the bags that contained Becky's remains. When Shauna was asked, about the texts her and Nathan had been sending each other about kidnapping and torturing a teenage girl for I believe it's called What's Wrong With You-itis, Shauna had the line of, when we were texting each other that, I was being sarcastic, jeez.
It says from Shauna, just went to cost cutters and saw a very, in big caps, pretty petite girl. Almost knocked her out to bring her home. LOL.
Yeah, she'd love to torture and kidnap a teenage girl for her dark, twisted sexual fantasies, She said sarcastically, of course. After a 5-week trial and 3.5 hours of jury deliberation, bullshit was called on all their stories. Nathan was found guilty of murder, Shauna manslaughter, and both of conspiracy to kidnap, perverting the course of justice, preventing the lawful burial of a body, and possession of 2 stun guns. They didn't have their license to stun. Nathan was sentenced to life with a minimum of 33 years, Shauna to 17 years. And that's the end of that one. Such a tragic end for poor Becky Watts. Nathan and Shauna were real monsters. Both of their appeals were denied. Happy days on that front there. Prison life isn't actually suiting Nathan Matthews too well. He has been attacked with a jug of boiling butter. Which, that's fun. Becky's father, Darren, when he heard what happened to Nathan, said, "That's the best birthday present I'll get all day." Nathan, he's what I like to call a real piece of shit. And Shauna, who used the line of, when I was texting my partner about torturing and kidnapping a teenage girl, and then he went and actually did it, I was just being sarcastic when I said it. Jeez, it's a joke. Duh. Well, it's a real shame she's in prison. I said sarcastically, of course. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it, and I appreciate you. Sure, I'll see you as always, real soon in the next one. Till then, go on. Take care of yourselves. Mike out.